Watson.
I'm looking for your thoughts tonight on that terrible New Zealand massacre early today. But here's what I want you to imagine. Imagine you're a clever college kid with a great idea to bring students together on a digital platform that allows them to get to know each other. You call it Facebook. Fast forward 15 years, you've conquered the world, you're a billionaire oligarch, you're the master of everything you survey. And you wake up to see a crazed right-wing terrorist massacre innocents worshipping in a mosque, and they live stream it on your digital platform. Or imagine you're Sergi and Larry, a couple of clever kids who had the idea that they'd allow people to find information better on the internet. And you wake up 20 years later, billionaire owners of YouTube, to see thousands of uploads of the massacre and the incident, so many going up so quickly that you can't take them down quick enough. Imagine that's you. You'd wake up and feel utter shame. But they've woke up, rich, and in my view, thinking that they're totally unaccountable. The owners of these platforms have allowed terrorists to live stream their own atrocities. And they hire poorly paid moderators who try their best to take down mass murder videos. How has it come to this? We've heard a lot lately about taking back control. Well, today, the big social media platforms lost control. They failed the victims of that terrorist atrocity. They failed in the face of evil. They failed to show any decency and responsibility. And we can't go on like this. Today must be the day when good people commit to take back control from the wicked, ignorant oligarchs of Silicon Valley. What's your view? I want to hear how we might do that tonight. Telephone me on 0345 6060 973 or text 84850. Following on tonight, our first caller is Tom from Chiswick. Tom, you're very welcome to LBC.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for taking my call. Nobody doubts what an atrocity that this is globally. And you're absolutely right with the oligarchs in Silicon Valley. Sadly, modern technology has made us aware of all the horrendous things that have been out there, from people video kids getting stabbed to planes going into the Twin Towers to, horrific beheadings that we see. I genuinely feel for the Muslim community of this country, and I'm sure that they would be, extremely worried or concerned, because even if you can't compare anything to this, but if you look at kids going into schools in America, and sadly, atrocities that happen there, what happens? It follows suit. But we need to be clear on what let's call them terrorists or fanatics, or actually imbeciles. Hopefully, it is just a one sort of person event, and we don't know until we get the findings from the New Zealand government of what's happened. But they had shared with the press of this country to take it all down, and they didn't. And somebody has to be accountable for this moving forward. But modern technology has allowed us to see all these horrific things. I would imagine in schools up and down this country, kids have been watching this on their phones, either, after lessons and so on.
Tom,
it's awful.
Tom, we've talked about the responsibility of the platform owners, and I'm going to talk more about that. But what do you think it is? I've been following this story all day. What do you think it is that makes people feel they need to watch this stuff, or worse, share this stuff? I just can't understand it.
I know, it's like watching a real life horror film, isn't it? That's what You look at sort of futuristic, or you've seen sort of fictional movies where people watch each other to get points on the screen, or dare I even say something like that, sort of Hunger Games or something like that. I know that you can't even compare what's sort of going on here, but it's almost like a sycophant sort of type of attitude that people have to download it. You can't watch it. Just ban it.
Do you think it's because we've not created the conditions where
no control?
We just expect we allow people to do it. We allow our kids to share this stuff. Adults share it. I mean, not enough people are saying it's wrong to share it.
You're right. It's wrong. Is there? Should there be a legislation? I mean, it's out there and it's happened. So will people want to take a view? You can either watch it or you don't watch it. I chose not to watch it. I was aware of a video through a social platform and then a WhatsApp group. I chose not to see it, and I didn't want to see it. So you saw the first bit. And it's like a sick horror movie. Yeah. It's like a sick horror movie. So why I just don't get it. But the platform for the social media guys, it's a wider discussion. Clearly, this supports something on. But I believe, hopefully, something now for the powers that be should put some legislation in place.
Let's hope so. And Tom, thank you for being a new caller and opening up the show tonight. I've got some tweets this evening from Sanning, who says, your comments right now are ridiculous. Social media is a reflection of society. You can bury your head in the sand, but this is reality. It shouldn't be streamed, but it's not social media's company's fault. Do you agree with that caller? I've got another new caller on the line tonight, Simon from Bournemouth. You're very welcome on LBC, Simon. What's your views of the events today?
Yeah, hiya. Nice to be on here. I'm totally against any type of censoring on any social media platform, or even the internet for that. Yes, it's terrible what's happened, but if you stop social media, are these events going to stop? No, they're not. You say, for example, they come up with this perfect algorithm, and they're able to detect these videos and all these type of hate speech and organising to do these awful events. They're going to go somewhere else. It's going to be on a forum. It's going to be on the dark net. So saying the social media should do more is, in my opinion, it's not on really.
But don't you think do you think the regulation is censoring these companies then, or is it not just creating the expectations that they've got to keep their own house in order?
Well, the thing is, we're talking hundreds of thousands of sentences are being submitted every second. There isn't enough manpower. So what they're trying to do is they're coming up with algorithms which detect pornographic photos. They do it on Google, and they are doing it on Facebook. They do it on YouTube. Now, when it comes to posting these violent videos or people said, they disguise it. There's ways around these algorithms. When they put a pirated movie online, what they'll do is they'll change the angle or something to throw off the algorithm. So to say the social media is not doing enough is, in my opinion, is not right.
Well, Simon, I actually opposed the Digital Economy Act 10 years ago on the grounds that it closed down free expression. I was a digital utopian. I thought the internet was going to enhance democracy, was going to give people the rights to hold the elected to account, would improve the discourse we had, make sure that wisdom was applied to society's problems. 10 years later, we're living in a digital dystopia. This world is full of hate. I've got thousands of people who send me racist abuse every day on my own Twitter feed. It bounces off me. But it's my day job.
I understand.
Let's just go back to New Zealand. I mean, we don't know the full facts of this case yet, but it seems to me that this fanatic, this terrorist, was mobilised by some kind of personal desire for notoriety, and he used the Facebook and YouTube platform to achieve that. And that's been facilitated by billionaire oligarchs who run companies that don't pay tax in the UK, that are creating huge social harms and division. And, you know, as a society, I think we've now got to address it. It seems to me that, you know, we've ducked it and we can't let it carry on like this.
I appreciate that, but I still stand my ground in saying social media isn't the problem. We've always had sickos out there, and even before the internet, yes, it has made like information, you know, like sharing information with one another a lot easier, but it still doesn't solve the problem. And what I think is, with all this, like, as harsh as it is and what's happened out there, things like this always have happened. And by censoring the 0.000, we could go zeros forever, we're sacrificing our freedom to speech. Like Tommy Robson, I know he's not everybody's, you know, piece of cake, but he hasn't technically broken any laws. So he's been kicked off Facebook, he's been kicked off Twitter. Now, you know, we've got MPs writing to YouTube to actually get him kicked off YouTube. And it's like, you know, is he a bad person? Some might say he is, but...
Okay, Simon. Look, I'm actually one of those MPs that's written to YouTube. And look, thanks for your call. You're exposing the dilemma about those that want free expression and those that want decency. And we've got to find that middle ground some way. I've asked Facebook, YouTube and the Daily Mail to come on the show and explain their position to us. But right now you're listening to Tom Watson on LBC. It's just gone 6:15 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
Theresa May says she stands shoulder to shoulder with New Zealand after 49 people were killed in a terror attack on 2 mosques in Christchurch. The DUP says fresh Brexit talks with the government over the contentious Irish border backstop have been constructive. A man's been jailed at Woolwich Crown Court for 10 years for his role in the £14 million Hatton Garden heist. LBC weather: showers in the north with rain and very strong winds moving northeastwards overnight. Drier elsewhere, a low of 1 degree.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff. There are delays on the M25 clockwise. All traffic is now being held because of an accident between junction 24 for Potters Bar and junction 25 for Enfield. Anti-clockwise on the M25. All traffic's also being held just after the Dartford tunnels. That's at junction 31 for Lakeside because of an accident. There are queues on the M3 northbound. A lane's closed on the exit slip road to the M25 at junction 2 because of an accident. In East Finchley, East End Road is blocked in both directions because of an accident. There are queues on the A12 northbound. A lane's closed also because of an accident from junction 13 for Roman Road to junction 14 for Margaretting. And on the train, C2C are running replacement buses between Upminster and Barking because of a faulty train.
This is LBC.
I pledge to leave a gift in my will because the money that is raised will help research, and without research we cannot beat cancer. That is my pledge.
Cancer's always been there and it's a fight we need to fight.
1 in 2 people will develop cancer at some point in their lifetime. What we want to do with the research is to develop those new therapies, develop those new treatments, and then those people can then become cancer-free. Even within the last 5 or 10 years, we've made incredible leaps forward.
Join the supporters and researchers pledging to beat cancer with Cancer Research UK. Find out how you can make a pledge to leave a gift in your will at cruk.org/pledge. Together, we will beat cancer.
I'm making this Vonage phone system my business. Let's go through it again.
I'll have it set up for you in a few hours.
At 11:14 exactly. Seamlessly flip your call from your desk phone to your mobile.
14:23. Pop up Mr. Brown's Salesforce data when he calls.
16:05. Simultaneously video call you and Mr. White.
Okay, let's do this.
Make Vonage part of your entourage. A business-ready phone system from just £9 a month. To find out more, go to vonage.co.uk. Terms apply.
Vonage. Sounds like good business to me.
Landlords, Direct Line guarantees to beat other insurers' renewal premiums for the same cover. Can your insurance do that? Switch to Direct Line Landlord. New customers only. Qualifying criteria apply. Underwritten by UK Insurance Limited.
Most radio adverts begin in a pristine recording studio, but not this one. We're recording on the streets of central London, polluted by toxic air. Because there's no better place to tell you that the Central London Ultra-Low Emission Zone is coming on the 8th of April this year. For vehicles that don't meet the new stricter emission standards, it will apply 24 hours a day in the same area as the congestion charge zone. From the 8th of April, you can either pay the daily charge online, via the free official TfL app, or sign up to AutoPay for a £10 annual admin fee per vehicle. Search ULEZ to check your vehicle and see if you need to pay. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
I'm Peter Jones. I've worked with many businesses. They're all different. So why be shoehorned into accounting software that treats all businesses the same? Sage Business Cloud is different. It fits your business's ever-changing needs, like preparing for making tax digital. With Sage, you're good to go. Business is about making wise choices. It's about being Sage.
Be ready for making tax digital. Sign up for a free MTD consultation at sage.com/MTD.
Love your skin. Love your hair. Love your nails. Perfectil delivers nutritional support from within, including zinc, to help you maintain normal skin, hair and nails. Perfectil, the science of beauty, from Vitabiotics, the UK's #1 vitamin company. From Boots, pharmacies and Vitabiotics.com.
They are beautiful. But the heels definitely didn't look that high on the website. Am I gonna twist an ankle? And so expensive. Okay, if I didn't keep them, it would practically be like making money. I would be making money. That I can put towards that new leather jacket. I'll send the shoes back at the weekend.
Office. Post office. Here for your online returns.
It's time. Time to join the millions of people that meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. With stunning HD video, crisp audio, and instant wireless sharing across any mobile, tablet, or desktop device. But the best thing about Zoom? It just works. So ditch the distractions, join the movement, and meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. Visit zoom.us to set up your free account today. That's zoom.us. Zoom video conferencing.
Tom Watson on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
We're discussing those terrible incidents from New Zealand today. I did ask Facebook and YouTube to come on the show. They declined to put up a spokesperson, but Facebook did give us a comment. They say, our hearts go out to the victims, their families and the community affected by this horrendous act. New Zealand police alerted us to a video on Facebook shortly after the live stream commenced, and we quickly removed both the shooter's Facebook and Instagram accounts and the video. We're also removing any praise or support for the crime and the shooter or shooters as soon as we're aware. We will continue working directly with the New Zealand police as their response and investigation continues. I'm not sure if I want your hearts going out, Facebook. I think I want some proper regulatory action to stop these things from happening. We've got a tweet from someone who says, "Hi Tom, as your ex-parliamentary colleague Nick Clegg now works for Facebook, can't you or one of the Lib Dems have a word with him? He's gone to California taking a large salary as a communications director. Maybe it's time for him to sort this problem out. He'd be very welcome on the programme if he wants to phone in from California." I suspect we won't be hearing from him though. A few more tweets. Tom, I'm sorry, but it's too simplistic and frankly weak to blame social media for evil in the world. And another one from Jim in Mitcham. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube et al. Are merely symptoms of a much larger problem. We need to cut this off at the source. And finally, a final tweet. Tom, even if it's on the internet, you don't have to watch it. Colin in Stockton-on-Tees says that to me. What's your view? Give me a call on 0345 6060 973 or text your messages on 84850. I'm going to take another caller now, Depeche in Bushy. You are very welcome on the programme tonight, Depeche. What's your view on the role of the social media companies in this?
Hi, Tom. A pleasure to speak to you. My name's Depeche, not Depeche.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No problem. My view is it's the Wild West with social media, and as you mentioned about one of the tweets you just mentioned that you read out, I think is right. They're just the messengers. I think that socially it's far more divided, this country is. The world has become, in the last 5 years, for some unknown reason. I don't know what it is. I wasn't born in this country. I was born in Africa. I'm of Indian descent. But for the last, say, 6-7 years, I've never felt so much outside of this country. Socially, everything. I can feel people just looking at me. You know? Do we blame social media for that? Are we looking for someone to blame here?
Do you think social media creates, amplifies the division that already exists between us, or do you think it creates division?
No, well, did the media do that in the past, like the papers? I mean, I believe the media has a huge role to play in this, and to what's occurred right now in the world, in this country. You know, there's presenters within this radio station who stir up problems. Just look at the Brexit thing, how immigration was forced onto the agenda.
But there is a difference on this programme, though. You know, we're on a radio broadcast now that is heavily regulated. You know, there is Ofcom. I mean, if I get out of control on this programme, you know, they can lose their licence, which obviously worries the producers that sit behind the bit of glass when I'm in front of the microphone.
Yeah,
that's not the same with YouTube or Facebook, though, is it?
No, I agree. And that's why I say it's the Wild West out there on social media at the moment. I don't know what we can do. Do we take away the fundamental right of speech then?
My view is that those billionaire owners who pay very little tax in this country
I totally agree with you.
they take advertising revenues on the back of some of these atrocities as well. It's time they took responsibility.
Yeah, they do need to take responsibility. But how do we stop this? I think before the legislation won't do it, because they will find another form of media. I believe it will go underground.
Well, yes and no.
Didn't the press do it?
Well,
before social media was around.
Well, I've got a bit of form for beating up on the press and trying to improve the way that they're held to account.
Especially the Murdoch's press.
But even the tabloids, some of whom have not been behaving well today, even they have a higher form of regulatory oversight than YouTube and Facebook. I mean, this guy this morning decides he's going to live stream a mass murder. And, you know, some of these videos, you know, Google rang my office to say they put a little notice on saying this content is disturbing before their reviewers can take a piece of content down. I mean, take it down and review it afterwards. How could they get away with that? It's astounding, isn't it?
Reality TV, Tom. People love reality TV.
Well, yeah, although
this is reality.
Reality TV sometimes get caught, and when they do, Ofcom gives them a rap over the knuckles. But anyway, look, thank you for your call. I appreciate your thoughts. I've got many tweets in tonight, and one that says, we have laws. If they are broken, then action will be taken. The spread of information terrifies those with power. So you think this might just be a sort of conspiracy of the powerful to close down free expression? I'm not so sure, and I'm not sure if many of the listeners would think that. And then we're all getting a little tired of authoritarian left-wing policies that seek to punish the majority of actions of the individual. Most significant factor in driving far-right extremism in the UK over the last 40 years. Well, I know what you mean by sort of hard left judging all the time for people's actions. But I mean, I think we're at a point where the live streaming of a mass murder is not just about left-wing authoritarianism. I think it goes to the very heart of our humanity, and left and right, wherever you sit on the spectrum, must be concerned about a social media platform that amplifies this kind of behaviour. You know, even if you're a right-wing libertarian, you could understand this in terms of it being a market failure. Anyway, let's have a look. And another text message. Tom, I'm a Muslim and I got sent the whole video footage. I watched it to see it for myself, the reality between brutality and innocence, which I believe is the difference between a terrorist and a respectable human being. I had tears in my eyes. I don't think I could watch that. I don't want anyone to send it me, and I wouldn't be able to watch it anyway, and I wouldn't want any of my loved ones to watch that. But I appreciate the distinction that you've made there. Okay, let's take a quick call from James in Catford. James, you are very welcome on LBC tonight. What would you like to say about the events of today?
Hi there, first time caller, long time listener. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a former Facebook programmer. I've worked with social media for many years now. Previously, there was a lot of manpower required for regulation to prevent things like these happening. But technology has advanced so much. So with people saying that it's impossible, it's not going to work, we haven't got the manpower. That's not true. I'm a programmer. I know how easy it is. The technology is there. And I personally feel that social media has a big responsibility in actually stopping the spread of all of this. I think if you're above a certain viewership in terms of traffic and hits and members, you need to be regulated, just like you guys are, just like the media is. It's the same for social media and internet in general. If you earn, same way when it comes to tax, you're talking about tax as well, that's another good point. And this is part of a bigger problem. There's not enough being done online, so we need to regulate them, we need to tax them properly, because it's not fair. And you're right, what other people have said in the past, we need to go to the source, but at the same time, you need to stop the messenger. These people, these terrorists, they feed on their ego. They feed on notoriety. They feed on viewership. And I think if we can cut down the messenger, we can put strict regulations on these big social media sites. Once they reach a certain membership, it's going to have a big impact on actually limiting all of this. I mean, like you said, that guy who just got the video, I couldn't watch that video. As a former Facebook employee, trust me, I've seen a lot of stuff which we prevented going online, but it's changed now. We do have the technology to make it a lot easier, but Facebook, for some reason, they want the traffic. And I can't speak for them, but what I would say is that we need the government to really step in and be strict. Don't be weak. Just step in.
And so in one sentence, you would say the way to stop this is for strong government regulatory action now?
Definitely. There's a lot of people who work with Facebook, who work with Google, a lot of my friends, for example, and they want this to happen. But until that happens, Facebook and Google and Twitter, they're not going to do it, because there's a lot of money to be made in free speech just through their ads. If you start putting these regulations in place, you will see a drop in impressions and traffic, because I mean there are a lot of far right, there are a lot of people who like free speech, and I can see that. But when we get to a certain viewership, that's why there's YouTube Kids. That's why there's a Facebook Kids.
Yeah, James, thanks for talking from experience and wisdom. That's where the problem lies. You're listening to Tom Watson on LBC. It's 6:31 and time for the news with Lisa Aziz.
Theresa May says Britain stands ready to support New Zealand after 49 people were shot dead at 2 mosques in Christchurch.
Through terror attacks that have taken place on UK soil, we know only too well the pain that such horrifying attacks can cause. As New Zealand has stood by us, so we stand shoulder to shoulder with them, and with Muslims in New Zealand, here in the UK, and around the world.
Police forces around the UK are stepping up patrols around mosques to provide reassurance to Muslim communities. A vigil is now underway in London's Hyde Park this evening to remember the victims, while Facebook, Twitter and YouTube say they're taking action to remove videos of today's shootings. The Democratic Unionists say they've had constructive talks with government ministers about Theresa May's Brexit deal ahead of another Commons vote next week. Deputy Leader Nigel Dodd says for them the key problem in it remains the Irish border backstop. LBC weather: showers in the north with rain and very strong winds moving northeastwards through tonight. Drier though elsewhere with a low of 1 degree.
LBC at the weekend. Majid Nawaz.
If Parliament decides not to carry out the will of the 4% extra people that wanted to Brexit as opposed to those who didn't want to Brexit, it won't be the end of democracy, because it was Parliament itself that decided that the referendum wasn't binding in the first place.
Leading Britain's conversation. Majid Nawaz. Saturday and Sunday from 12 on LBC.
The real reason Sleeping Beauty fell asleep was because it was taking so long for the palace to sell, and the handsome prince needed the proceeds to buy their new home with no time to dwell.
I know who can help. Property Rescue. I'll contact them straight away.
So he spoke to their friendly team, who took care of every detail. They bought the palace direct, with no legal fees to pay. Fast forward to living happily ever after. Visit propertyrescue.co.uk. Property Rescue. Fast forward to sold.
Drivers, here's a little number for you. Do you know when your MOT is due? Don't worry if not. Just text your reg to 83333 and we'll ping the date straight back. With 500 senders nationwide, we can fit you in at a time and date that suits you. Just book online or visit your local Quick Fit today and drive away happy.
If, like me, you own a micro business or run a charity with a van or minibus that's polluting the air, you might want to listen up. I've just been told about the Mayor of London's new scrappage scheme. They said I could receive £3,500 if I scrap my van, which I could then use to trade up to a new Euro 6 vehicle. Or £6,000 if I scrap my van, which includes £2,500 towards the running costs if I go electric. I said to them, if this is going to help improve the toxic air for my children, then I'm in. So, when I get home, I'm going to search scrappage scheme to see if I'm eligible. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Hello, Vitality Health Insurance.
Oh, hi. Is it true if I join Vitality, I get de facto 5-star rated cover, can speak to a GP 24/7, get rewarded for staying active with things like Starbucks coffee, get a little sausage dog to live with me, and you could beat my current premium by up to 10%?
Absolutely. Except one of those.
It's the dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
Time to review your health insurance. Just search Vitality Health. Vitality. Positively different. Minimum monthly premiums, terms and conditions apply.
The world's longest wedding dress had a train that stretched for 5 miles. Pity the poor page boys. For a frock, that's big. But it's not Euro Millions big. This Friday it's a colossal £70 million jackpot. Euro Millions. Amazing starts here.
Estimated jackpot rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Have you had an operation that has left you with persistent pain around the healed scar? You may feel this pain as burning, aching, shooting, throbbing, or stabbing. At St Pancras Clinical Research, we're looking at a new potential treatment for this pain, which we apply topically. The study will take place in London, and if you volunteer, you'll be paid for your time and reasonable expenses. Find out more at stpancrasclinicalresearch.com. That's stpancrasclinicalresearch.com.
Wow, loads of boot space for the camping gear.
Plenty of room for a couple of suitcases.
Could easily fit my golf clubs in there, even the picnic cooler. I suppose the stroller would fit in there too.
Yep.
The new Renault Kadjar from just $199 a month with 0% APR finance. Perfect for all life's adventures. Search Kadjar offers to find out more. Renault Finance 36 months, deposit 4116, optional final payment 9315, subject to status, over 18s, order by April 1st, register by June 30th, 2019. T's and C's apply, retail customers at participating dealers only.
Dad, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor.
Oh.
With a
Stethoscope.
Stethoscope, yes, and a big black bag.
You'll have to work very hard at school.
At medical school.
Yeah.
Before a fixed-term specialty training appointment in clinical neurophysiology.
Okay.
The
Better get saving.
Office. Post Office. Here for your savings. Post Office savings are provided by Bank of Ireland UK or One Family.
This is LBC with Tom Watson. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
So we're talking about people's reaction to the events of the atrocity in New Zealand today, whether we should regulate the media platforms. But ordinarily, at the end of a busy parliamentary week, some would say chaotic parliamentary week, I'd be asking for your views on Brexit. And so do feel, if you want to challenge me in my day job as Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, please do call in and challenge me on that. Was Parliament right to call for the extension of Article 50 this week? Do you like the way that we are coming to the view that, Theresa May's deal is dead? Share your views as well. I'm looking at some texts and tweets here. There is more challenge on the social media regulation from people tweeting and texting. I mean, if you do hold some of the views I'm going to read out, well, do feel free to call in and share them with other listeners. Here's a text. It says, "You're all blowing in the wind. If you don't like what social media does, be like me and don't use it. Social media is global. How do you regulate it other than by not using it? Just another excuse to moan, which you broadcasters are good at. I don't suppose you will read this. Just think about it." Well, I am reading it, and I do think about it. In fact, very often these days I dream of a world where, as a politician, I don't have to use social media. And then sometimes I'll go to Google and Google second-hand camper vans for sale and dream of a quieter life where I'm not in the fray of social media and politics. But that's only occasionally. A few more tweets. I remember sitting watching the second plane fly into the World Trade Center live 3 years before Facebook was founded. Regulation is undoubtedly needed. However, social media is simply the new platform for mass impact of terror. Well, that's the point, isn't it? You don't see those planes flying into the World Trade Center anymore because we've got a regulated broadcasting market which has codified the ethics of our society, and people have decided we don't want to see that footage regularly again unless it's put into some kind of editorialized context. Social media doesn't have any of that, and I think it's time we really did think about it. Here's another one. The authoritarian politicians are determined to control social media. As has happened on so many occasions, they use terrorism laws to attack free speech and personal freedom and liberties. And again, I think that's the argument. You know, can you just allow a mass murderer to live broadcast their atrocity? I mean, does any libertarian on the right seriously think that that is a good idea? I mean, if you are a libertarian on the right who genuinely believes that, ring into the show and tell us your views in more detail. Got a new caller on the line, Sam from Enfield. Sam, you are very welcome on LBC tonight. What's your view of recent events?
Hi, Tom. So I guess I'm in a rather unique position. I'm a Muslim. I run my own IT company. I have 30 years of IT experience, and I specialize in AI and search engine technology.
Wow.
And I have to say to you that every time I hear companies like Facebook and other social media companies saying that there's too much content going on, they can't police it, there just aren't enough moderators, you know, I kind of eek, because I know that's just literally not true. And I'll give you a very simple example. When you watch a program on TV that now has subtitles, those subtitles are created automatically by machine learning and AI. And once you've created that text, it can be indexed and searched. So it's very easy for them to look at the text of a video, search it for certain key phrases, which with image recognition technology, it's very easy to see the kind of images which are being portrayed and flag these things. And there's only one thing that they have to do, and they're not willing to do that. And the thing is, when you upload a video to YouTube, it's essentially available immediately. And I think what they need to do is to put a delay where they can actually spend a bit of time processing it and essentially flagging it using AI. And then there's a pause between an event taking place and a video being uploaded. So that's the first thing I'd say.
Sam, can I just jump in there? I mean, you know this from a technical angle. I mean, it seems to me that all these thousands of copies of the video that have been uploaded to YouTube, it's got the same digital footprint. So am I right in thinking it shouldn't be down to a moderator to decide that they could automatically, each time it's uploaded, just take it down automatically? Is that right?
I would love to give evidence to the select committee, and I would show that select committee the technology actually in play, that it's very easy to stop it. It's very easy to stop duplications of this stuff. It's very easy to trace who's uploading it. And I knew immediately that Facebook, as soon as they made the live streaming facility available, I knew it would be open to this kind of situation. And I was shocked that they made it available to anybody and not a premium paid-for service, perhaps used by businesses. And I think it's now time to stop treating them as a digital platform that just serves up content. It's trying to actually treat them like a broadcaster and be subject to all the regulations that a broadcaster would be subject to. And I think that's where people like you come in. I think it's up to Parliament.
Sam, you have given me a very compelling argument there. And you know what? If I could follow this up after the programme with you, I would like to talk to you about some of that technical detail. And I'm also going to talk to my Conservative counterpart, the Secretary of State at DCMS, Jeremy Wright, who I think would be interested to hear what you've got to say as well. But I'm going to try and get another caller in now. Mark from Sheffield. Mark, you are very welcome to LBC tonight. Thank you for ringing in from the city of my birth.
Really? I didn't realise that.
Right.
Yeah, no problem. First time caller, well, to yourself. So let me make this clear before I start that I'm appalled by what's happened. It's absolutely terrible. I condemn all those sorts of acts of violence. Let me just say that to begin with.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, Tom, very quickly, have you read the guy's manifesto?
No, I've not had time, but I understand it's been published, and not just on the new social media platforms, but also on the Daily Mail website, which is not great.
Well, anyway, what I was getting at, he makes it very, very clear in there what his motives are. Now, he even referenced Rotherham, which is 5 minutes away from where I am right now, where obviously 1,400 girls was groomed, but he made it very clear in his manifesto. Now, I don't think social media is to blame at all here. They've had their platform abused. This is going to hurt them more than anyone. Their stock price may go down after this and all sorts of stuff. But what it's like is, imagine one of those people, those attackers in Rotherham. Imagine if they filmed what they did on a GoPro camera. It's like you saying GoPro. Why? It's like you're having a GoPro for that. Do you know what I mean? It's not GoPro's fault that their platform was used incorrectly.
But do you not think they had a desire for the footage to influence others, though? To in some way sort of leave an emblem of an atrocity that might drive others to that kind of behaviour, or to send a bigger signal, to create intolerance?
Do you know what I genuinely think this is, Sam? I think this is frustration from the lack of action from governments around the world. 20 plus cities or whatever in the UK have seen, grooming gangs, and we've just not seen much action at all. In fact, it's been covered up more than anything. And people have been so frustrated. And I genuinely think that his motives are a lack of frustration from the government for acting on attacks on, people, I guess native people.
Yeah, but hold on a minute, Mark. I mean, I'm frustrated about the lack of inquiry into cover-ups of child sexual abuse, but I'm not going to go out with a gun and murder people.
Oh, no, I know, absolutely. He's an absolute nutter. Don't get away from that fact. but what I'm saying is that the government's lack of action, not just in the UK, but around the world, for not addressing these problems and probably being a little bit too politically correct, is going to make some people angry, because people are saying, well, nothing's been done about this.
OK, Mark, that's an interesting view. Thank you for calling in. You're very welcome on the programme. You're listening to Tom Watson on LBC. It's 6:46 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
The Prime Minister says the UK stands ready to support New Zealand after 49 people were shot dead at 2 mosques. The DUP says fresh Brexit talks with the government over the contentious Irish border backstop in Theresa May's withdrawal deal have been constructive. The ringleader of the Hatton Garden jewellery heist has been jailed 4 years after carrying out the raid. LBC weather: showers in the north with rain and very strong winds moving northeastwards overnight. Drier elsewhere, a low of 1 degree.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff. There are queues on the M25 clockwise from junction 22 for St Albans to junction 25 for Enfield after an accident earlier on. All the lanes are open again. On the M3 northbound, there are delays towards junction 2 for the M25 after an accident earlier. There are queues in East Finchley. East End Road is blocked in both directions between Church Lane and Cromwell Close because of an accident. It's very slow on the A12 northbound. A lane's closed because of an accident from junction 13 for Roman Road to junction 14 for Margaretting. And on the trains, C2C are running replacement buses between Upminster and Barking. That's because of a faulty train.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Andrew Pearce.
After the terror attacks in New Zealand killing 49 people, we talk constantly about the radicalisation of Islam. Are we doing enough about the radicalisation of the far right?
Andrew Pearce on LBC. Are you buying a new home? Your mortgage company may just value from a desktop with no surveyor ever visiting the property. WeDoSurveys.com can help you choose the right property. As map chartered surveyors since 1983, we inspect around 10,000 properties every year. Visit WeDoSurveys.com for a free consultation and free Rick's Guide to Home Surveys. WeDoSurveys.com, your friend in the property business.
There's a new way to report non-emergency incidents or crimes to the Met Police. So if you've seen or been in a... or you've been the victim of a... maybe your... has been stolen, you can report it online at met.police.uk. It's quick, it's more convenient, and it's handled by the same team who answer our calls. Incident or crime? Tell us online. Metropolitan Police Service.
The range clearance at Oak Furnitureland must end Sunday, with massive savings on our solid hardwood furniture. But when it's gone at a store near you.
What a racket! If we all had a smart meter, we could stop 19.65 million tonnes of CO2 from entering the atmosphere, which is like taking 600,000 cars off the road by 2030. That's better, isn't it? Save your energy for a cleaner Britain. See how much you're using and make changes to use less. Search Get a Smart Meter today from the Campaign for a Smarter Britain.
Eligibility may vary. Available in England, Scotland and Wales by 2020.
Hello, Vitality Health Insurance.
Oh, hi. Is it true if I join Vitality I get de facto 5-star rated cover, can speak to a GP 24/7, get rewarded for staying active with things like Starbucks coffee, get a little sausage dog to live with me, and you could beat my current premium by up to 10%?
Absolutely. Except one of those.
It's the dog, isn't it?
Yeah.
Time to review your health insurance. Just search Vitality Health. Vitality. Positively different. Minimum monthly premiums, terms and conditions apply.
I have never seen the point of paying loads for a trendy coffee when I could just make myself a big mug of instant. And I won't buy fancy bottled water when I've got a perfectly good tap. So why? Why would I want to pay more on my broadband for bundles of stuff I'll never use or loads of extras I don't need? When between us, I'm really all about the funny cat videos. Brilliant. Just give me great value broadband.
Office. Post Office. Here for your broadband.
Thanks to people giving monthly donations, Cancer Research UK are funding thousands of life-saving research projects, so people like Alim can get back to enjoying family bike rides, birthdays, and games of football. As a dad, I understand just how precious those moments are. So, on behalf of all the families that have been helped, thank you. See the impact of monthly donations by searching Cancer Research UK because of you. Together, we will beat cancer.
I'm Peter Jones. I've worked with many businesses. They're all different. So why be shoehorned into accounting software that treats all businesses the same? Sage Business Cloud is different. It fits your business's ever-changing needs, like preparing for making tax digital. With Sage, you're good to go. Business is about making wise choices. It's about being Sage.
Be ready for making tax digital. Sign up for a free MTD consultation at sage.com/MTD.
Tom Watson on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
The reason I love this medium, the reason I love LBC, is because it's the listeners that set the agenda. When I went to bed last night, I thought I'd be getting calls about Brexit. I voted to extend Article 50 this week. I did it reluctantly because, as has been warned about many, many times, Theresa May has been running down the clock and we face a chaotic exit from the European Union at the end of this month. There's days to go. How many times can Theresa May take no for an answer? Well, seemingly, it's going to be 3 times, because for the second time Parliament voted down her deal this week. They told Theresa May they wanted an extension because we were running out of time, and I think she's going to come back next week to put her deal to Parliament again. It would take 75 MPs to change their vote for that deal to go through. The EU position has not changed, so if she gets a deal through next week, the minds of 75 MPs would have been changed for other issues other than to do with the deal. It's not going anywhere for her. Now, the DUP might get offered other things that change their mind. Those people led by Jacob Rees-Mogg might change their mind. But it seems to me that unless there's subterfuge, she's going to lose again. And when does that start to become anti-democratic? 3 times a deal could go down. Those people that say we want a second referendum would rightly be saying, well, hold on a minute, she can put the vote as many times as she wants. Why can't we? Do try and call it if you've got a view on that, and I'm going to go, but the vast majority of texts and calls tonight are obviously about this terrible event in New Zealand. I've had some texts. Hi Tom, it's social media to blame? Maybe. But looking back at previous atrocities, e.g. Northern Ireland, there was no internet then, and look at the mass violence. It's not all down to social media. I'm lost with it all. Regards from Ron. And hi Tom, I took myself off Facebook nearly 2 years ago now. Never felt better. Was sucking the joy from my life. I know these things happen, but it's shoved down your neck. And some people can't cope with such stuff. That's because they get adverts from the extreme content, and that's the stuff that the algorithm serves up on your Facebook page. I mean, it's outrageous the way that happens. Not necessarily in this case, but certainly in other sort of cases where there's sort of violent videos that can draw in advertising revenue. A few tweets here. Here we go. Further steps to stop free speech. If you look back in history, governments take away your rights by ever manufacturing a problem or jumping on the actions of an individual or group so they can protect you. Yeah, well, live broadcast mass murder sort of falls in the remit of government, in my view, even though the person who tweeted that clearly disagrees. And one final tweet, absolutely yes, do it, and do it now. They have had countless opportunities to do this and haven't and won't while they make money from these videos. Ain't that the truth? Let's take another caller now. Tim from Highgate, you are very welcome on LBC tonight. What's your views on regulation and the events?
Hi, Tom. Thanks for taking the call. Well, there are a couple of issues. I've been listening in, and one of them is just plain fact about social media. And these are things, ironically, that have been made available via platforms like YouTube and Facebook, and that is that the chief engineers of Facebook and other social media platforms have left those companies and spoken out publicly about the fact that they intentionally designed those platforms as a conditioning and addictive tool for users. So the idea that used to work with television, if you don't like it, switch it off, actually is not applicable in this scenario, because most people, and there are 2 billion of them on the planet, and I'm one of them, that are plugged in via handheld devices, laptops and tablets, are 9 times out of 10 going to become addicted, and it's intentional. So the idea that if you don't like it, you can switch off I think is, it's just not true. And on that basis, I agree with you that it should absolutely be regulated, and a body should be formed to hold them to account. I think with Mark Zuckerberg, the fact that he's on 2 occasions refused Parliament and hasn't turned up to a meeting is astonishing. I mean, it's extraordinary. If a politician had done that, then of course there'd be repercussions.
Well,
but for some reason there haven't been.
I've said this before, Tim. I mean, even Rupert Murdoch agreed to come and address the Culture Select Committee when there was the phone hacking scandal. And yet Mark Zuckerberg, the Secretary of State, had to fly out to California to go and meet him in private, which seems to me where the power lies.
It is, and I think it's a very creative use of the truth on Facebook's part to say that they're not a publishing platform. They are.
Yeah.
They are a publishing platform. It's where most people get their news. And what's been proven, and as you know, and I follow you on Twitter, is with journalists like Carol Cadwalader and the whistleblower for Cambridge Analytica, Chris Wiley, we actually know just exactly how those platforms work and intend users to receive information.
Tim, very wise. Say hello to me on Twitter and I'll come back to you. Final call of the evening from Waleed in High Wycombe. You're very welcome on the programme, Waleed.
Cheers, Tom. I'll be quick, and it's a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Just in a general sense, I think social media adds more value than it doesn't. I mean, if you cast your mind back sort of 40 years ago, when the likes of Murdoch would exclusively drive the narrative, what we've done through social media is be able to raise awareness about certain issues and basically level the playing field for issues that wouldn't get airtime on mainstream media. So that's the general point. Now, speaking as a Muslim, I mean, in the wake of the Manchester attacks, for example, the sentiment was along the lines of we can't dignify the atrocities of these people by not continuing to lead the lives that we normally would. And what did I do today? I was travelling, and I didn't even think twice about going to my local mosque to pray, and that should be the way it is. And I implore all my brothers in humanity to basically just come together, everyone that's moderate, and continue to live the lives that you'd normally would, and to just prosper accordingly.
Yes, I agree. I mean, look, I said a little prayer today for everyone in New Zealand, and you know, the way you defeat these terrorists is by defiantly living your life in joy and kindness. And you know, look, we're getting, we are reclaiming the internet back in this conversation we've had today, Waleed. So thank you for your call. Look, you've been listening to Tom Watson on LBC. Coming up at 10, it's Nick Abbott. But up next, it's the very smooth Andrew Pearce.
Thank you, Tom. Coming up, we'll be talking, of course, about the horror that has struck in New Zealand.